Hello everyone, I am Volcanator007, also known as Jazz. I'm going to be doing a tutorial on Pyramid Cave, because a lot of people don't seem to know how to do it properly. And this is going to be aimed towards new runners, but I'm also going to have some stuff for intermediate runners. So the first thing I want to say is I'm at the first pit right now. I'll be showing a walkthrough of the whole stage, but I'm going to start right here. A lot of people try to skip this pit by doing a spin dash jump all the way across, and that can be the fastest method, but it's only slightly faster, and I mean like maybe a couple tenths of a second faster than this method that I'm about to show you. Which is nothing to do with those platforms, don't worry. So the first thing you're going to want to do is purposely spin dash to fall down into this area. And we're going to abuse a property of this corner here. As long as its chow box is intact, we can do a spin dash towards the wall in this corner and it will launch us up like that. But we can abuse it even further. So there's something in this game called spin dash hovering. If I do a normal spin dash off of this box, you can see I landed about here. But if I hold A before releasing the spin dash, I go much further. That's because of jump storage. And how jump storage works is the game is programmed to make you jump higher if you hold the A button longer. So that's a short jump, that's a long jump. But it also works in other situations, like basically anytime you go in the air and still have a blue aura. Like if you spin dash off of something. It also works if you use a pause input and then unpause using the A button. Then you can delay the jump storage. But we're not going to be using that in this level. What we are going to be using is the spin dash hover, which is holding A before you release B. And the first place we use that is right here. We hold A before releasing that spin dash, and that puts us really high, high enough to get on top of that beam, the first beam. So we can get on this beam and then do a spin dash over to this rooftop here, and then another spin dash hover over here. And that skips like the whole first weird loop, and it's a very fast way to do the first section. First, when you land here, you're going to want to do a light dash. And then jump into this enemy. And then this is where you collect the bounce bracelet. I'm just going to be killing these enemies to get them out of the way while I explain stuff. Normally you wouldn't kill them in a speedrun, you'd just not bother. So the next glitch I'm going to be explaining is a super bounce. So watch what happens when I do a normal bounce right here. You can see I reached not even a full jump height, and a double bounce would put me on top of this platform. But there's a strange property with the bounce, which is if you bounce into a wall with a lot of horizontal speed, all of your horizontal speed will be converted into vertical speed. So I'm going to run at this wall and then bounce. You can see it put me on top right here. Unlike the regular bounce from a standstill, which did not put me very high at all. We can abuse this further by doing a spin dash towards the wall to have even more speed. And as long as we bounce before hitting the wall with a lot of speed, we go very high. So as soon as we collect the bounce bracelet, spin dash towards this wall, and homing attack into this hourglass. And then you want, when you get on top of the hourglass, you want to jump to, I usually jump to the left, so you can jump to the right, doesn't matter. Just to get out of the way of the enemy, and then you homing attack forward into the spring, like I did. We can do another super bounce over this wall here. As you can see, the wall is no longer solid after you go above a certain point. This is a terrible camera angle. I was gonna try to... I didn't want to get speed shoes there. So yeah, we can bounce over that wall, and when we do, we can land on this rail here. It's obviously the fastest way to go across here. And normally in this section, we'd go all the way over there, grab a key, come back without being able to do jumps and crap properly because we're holding something, and then we drop the key here. But there's a large sequence break that we can do. It skips that whole thing, which is just jumping straight through this door. And I'm going to be showing you how to do that. Basically, I don't know why homing attacked upwards right there. Basically, you need to stand right here. The spot is straight across from Omochao right here, right in this corner. And then you want to be aiming straight forward, but you actually want to be neutral on the control stick, and then you do a spin dash jump, and that should put you through the wall. But before I even show you that, there's a ghost that will come and grab me if I can just get it to respawn. It usually respawns. There it is. So yeah, this ghost will get in the way if you go right to this spot and then try to do the skip. It will grab you, it'll lose a couple seconds. It's not good. But there is a way we can avoid it. We can trick its AI into wandering into some weird location for like a long time, like over 10 seconds, which gives us plenty of time to do the skip without it coming to grab us. And the way to do that is when we're coming through this hallway, we're going to spin dash down it, and we're going to spin dash all the way to here, right where this red part of the wall is. And right here we're going to do a bounce, and we're going to land right here. Ultimately, you can land right on this spot and then do the skip. That's what you want to be going for if you want to get a good time. Shut up, ghost. So I'm going to show that now. The ghost didn't even spawn, so I can't show it off. I don't know how far back I have to go for it to spawn, but I think that should be good. It's still not there. Okay, that's very bizarre. So when coming back to the ghost section, I've decided I want to show off something else here. So the super bounce over this giant wall can be a bit tricky because at full speed you're going to be coming through this narrow spot in between this raised platform and this wall, and if you hit either of those things, it's going to slow you down enough to make it very hard to make that super bounce. So this requires a lot of practice. You just need to watch other people do it and try to figure it out. The other thing is, it only saves like half a second over just grabbing this key here and throwing it into the hole. There's another thing you can do, which is you can spin dash off of this platform while it's still raised, of course, and before you put the key in, and you can just bounce as soon as you get off the platform from a spin dash, and that will give you a high enough super bounce to get over the wall. So yeah, just grabbing that and throwing it in. It's still a fast method, and then from there you can just spin dash and bounce onto the rail. That's still quite fast. So, now I got the ghost to spawn again. Before I ran into a weird glitch where it just completely unloaded. I don't know what happened, but normally it always spawns. So, I'm going to do a spin dash down to that red part of the wall that I'm facing right now, and right when I get there, before I pass it, I'm going to bounce and try to land around where the sweet spot for the door skip is. So, there, the ghost spawned, and I landed right about here. And as you can see, the ghost is all like, what the hell? And it's like stuck on that ledge for a very long time. It's slowly making its way back to its spawn point, and it's not even aggroed to us right now. So, and now it's aggroed to us. So, as you can see, that confuses it for a very long time. And it's simply just spin dashing to a certain point, bouncing right there, and it gets the ghost right out of the way. So, door skip. A lot of people have trouble with this when they start. It's a very simple concept, but it's quite precise, because you need to be right in this spot, right here. It's right on the corner, like, right on this brick texture, conveniently, like, right where that intersection is. That's where you want your feet to be, like the front of your feet. Oh, let me just fix the camera. And from there, you want to, like when you get here, you want to make sure you're pointing straight forward, and then as soon as you know you're pointing straight forward, you go neutral on the control stick, and then you do a spin dash jump. And if your spin dash jump is tight enough and you are neutral on the control stick, you should go straight through. You don't need to charge the spin dash like too much. You do want to charge it pretty much fully. You don't need to hold it down for like ages or anything. So let me try to get this skip first try. I messed up. I think how I messed up is I undercharged it. So, here's this hourglass. If you're holding forward when doing the door skip, you're gonna come like right over this hourglass. And that's actually slow. So part of the benefit of going neutral on the control stick, besides it being more consistent, is that it lands you right behind this hourglass. And the fastest way to flip hourglasses is to just do a somersault into them. So what I'm going to want to do is somersault into the hourglass, do another somersault to get away, then jump, bounce excel, which is a... Actually, if you do the bounce excel, there's a chance you can homing attack into the ghost. So what I'm going to do is spin dash into this, spin dash away, jump, homing attack cancel, and then charge a spin dash and go down here. Yeah, screw you, ghost. So, I'm going to try to do reverse door skip, and I'm going to cut back after I do that to show off the proper hitting of the hourglass. Okay, so I decided to give up on reverse door skipping. I've been able to do it in the past, but screwed it up then, because it's a tricky beast to tackle. Okay, so like I said before, I'm going to do a neutral door skip, so control stick neutral, because I find that to be more consistent. So that's just a fully charged spin dash from this spot, and then you jump into the door, facing straight towards it. Which is just, if you point forward on the control stick while charging your spin dash, then go neutral, you should be facing the right direction. Because the camera faces you perfectly straight into the sweet spot. So I'm going to land somewhere behind the hourglass. I'm going to do a somersault into it, a somersault to get away from it, and then a jump homing attack cancel. And then charge spin dash. It's very tricky, requires a lot of practice. If you want, you can just do a homing attack into the hourglass and then a spin dash away from it, but that is kind of significantly slower. So this is kind of a lot of inputs at one time. So it's a bit tricky to learn, but it's worth it. Wow, fail. That was undercharged. It was also a bit too far to the right. So I'm actually purposely avoiding all these dash pads because If you do this properly, which I didn't really, then they actually slow you down. This is definitely a checkpoint you want to get. So this is a decision point, one of the biggest decision points in the stage. Because from here, you're going to be deciding, do I do snake skip or just go through the loops? Snake skip saves about 4 seconds if done optimally. I'm going to show that off really quick. It's a super bounce right here. Spin dash across these gaps. Set it up. Spin dash, bounce, homing attack, cancel. I'll explain that in more detail later. But it's tricky. It takes a lot of practice to learn. So yeah, this is a bit tricky to learn. I'm relearning it as I speak, because I haven't done it in years. Not years, actually. Months, more like. There we go. So that's how you do that. It's not that hard. It was for me, because I hadn't done it, like, in a long time, but it just takes a few tries, and then you get it down. So this part, you land right here, you do a spin dash, and you're going to want to curve around and do a super bounce up there. And after the super bounce, you want to do a bounce excel, which is just a bounce and then a homing attack into the ground. And then you want to do a homing attack around the wall. So that just looks like this. Not like that. That's not a super bounce. Okay. Try that again. Just like that. And, okay, so if you want to take it easy, you can just sort of do a homing attack onto this rail. That's not excruciatingly slow, so it's not that... there's no shame in doing that. But the fastest method of doing it, by far, is to do a spin dash onto it. Or a spin dash and bounce onto it, but that's very risky. And then this part, right before you fly off the end of the rail, you're actually going to want to jump off of it and then do a bounce excel. And then maybe chain one spin dash coming towards this hourglass. And then cancel it, and quite a bit before you actually hit the hourglass, you're going to want to do a somersault, because if you're too late, you'll just bonk into it and lose a bunch of time. So, like... And then you can do a bounce excel and then chain a few spin dashes down there. There's a trick to skip this first loop, which is a super bounce off of this wall here. That's very risky, though, so don't use it in runs until you practice it a bunch. It basically just looks like you spin dash down here, do a super bounce, boom, it's skipped. Forgot there was fire there. I'm gonna cut back. Actually, I just do snake skip. That's really quick. That was a very janky snake skip, because I had a very weird angle, very low angle coming off of that. Wasn't the... it was almost a death, basically. Oh, yeah, falling in this pit's atrocious, so you just want to super bounce out of it as quickly as you can. I don't know why that failed. Okay, so if you're not going to go for the super bounce loop skip, which you shouldn't if you're a beginner, just go through this loop. Seriously, just go through it. And then you can just easily skip that loop with a jump homing attack cancel. And then there's the goal ring. But there's another way to skip that loop, which is a sexy strat. It's you get on the side of the loop, and then you spin dash off at about 45 degrees, I'd say, and immediately bounce, and it does a gravity bounce right into the goal ring. It's pretty cool. Saves a lot of time. Saves a couple seconds over just jumping into the dash pads. So it's worth it. And it's not too hard. It's a lot easier than Snake Skip, that's for sure. Okay, so I'm back to the last section. And if you're going to be doing the gravity bounce at the end, you're going to want to pair it with the super bounce loop skip, because if you don't, it's going to be really weird. You're going to have weird camera angles, you're going to mess up, you're going to die. So, I'm going to start by hitting this hourglass, then... So I'm going to somersault into this hourglass, somersault away from it, jump, bounce, acceleration, one spin dash up here, cancel, another spin dash over the top, cancel it while you're at the top, and then a third spin dash down. So that's three spin dashes in the chain. You don't need more than that. That's all you need. And then the last spin dash, you're going to want to curve it and super bounce right before the loop. You'll see. I'll do it. That's what happens if you somersault too late, by the way. That was a bit janky. Whatever. Okay, so, as you can see, super bounce, loop skip lands you right here. You're not hitting any dash pads like that coming out of the loop, so it's not going to instantly just mess you up. You land here with low speed, which is pretty much exactly what you want. And then you want to spin dash down there and spin dash jump up here. If you land on the side of the loop I just did, forget it, basically. From there you can do a gravity bounce into the dash pad that brings you to the goal ring. It's 2 seconds slower, but don't kill yourself if you end up in that situation. Basically, don't try to fix it and go for the gravity bounce loop skip. It's not going to work. So, let me actually try to get this. I'm not used to getting it from a stop, like a full stop. Anyway. Okay, this is sad. Yeah, you really need to land on the edge of the loop, like the red part of it on the edge. Just like that. And then about 70 degrees. Spin dash and bounce immediately, pretty much. You can delay the bounce slightly if you want that extra distance. You don't really need to. And of course I really overcharged that because I was explaining things. So, yeah. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over the entire route while playing through it for a beginner, and then I'm going to show you the more advanced route. Another thing to cover is the very beginning. Obviously. This first tunnel, you can lose a lot of time if you don't know what you're doing. So, you're going to be in one spin dash, no cancels or anything, just one spin dash through the entire thing, if you can help it. You're going to want to avoid this first dash pad, because if you're going fast, it'll actually slow you down, because it'll just put you at a set speed, which is slower than what you're going to be going. However, you do want to hit that dash pad, and you want to try to cut the corners a little bit. This corner is extremely, it'll try to throw you off if you cut it too much, so only cut it about here. And the last corner, again, you'll fall off, you'll fly up if you cut it too far, so only about here. That's where you want to cut it. And, of course, that's only if you're going for the most optimal times. Another thing to point out, right when the camera changes is when you want to start holding pretty much forward. and that'll land you right on the dash pads if you do it right. And you want to start holding B pretty much right before the camera changes, because that will charge your spin dash right as you hit the dash pad, and then you release it without losing too much speed. You'll keep some of the dash pad speed, and full spin dash speed will be added onto that, and you go down pretty fast if you do it right. That takes a lot of practice, so I'm going to try to do that right now. So yeah, don't cut these two corners too far. And yeah, that's the beginning. And then you want to light dash into that. Another thing is you can do a spin dash jump right, like if you jump right about here. I didn't want to actually activate that, but if you jump right about here, this thing's collision mesh is actually hourglass shaped. It's not like a cylinder or anything stupid. So you can use this part of it as a ramp. And if you spin dash jump into it, you'll bounce and you'll go flying up, and you can skip like the first section. So you do a light dash here, and then spin dash jump into that hourglass. You can land right up here. Then you go down here, do the chow box hover onto this beam, spin dash jump, spin dash hover, light dash, jump into this enemy, grab the bounce bracelet, super bounce here, homing attack, jump to the side, bounce into the homing attack into the spring, super bounce over that, or use another method if you prefer. Do the thing to confuse the ghost, align yourself for the skip, that should be good. Go neutral on the control stick and jump. Do what we talked about there. Avoid that dash pad at all costs, because it slows you down a ton. It's okay if you hit that dash pad. It's not that bad. Definitely go for the checkpoint, and I'll do the beginner stuff here, which is basically just homing attack here. I kind of failed that, but that was okay. Try to avoid that dash pad if you can. Land up here. Spin dash jump over here. Super bounce. Oh, that can happen. You can orbit that enemy. You can cancel your spin dash if you want to stop it. So that's the fast rail technique. Obviously, you don't need to do that if you don't want to get the top speed. It's very risky. So you can just do a homing attack onto it. Then you go over here, go through this loop, homing attack to reset your controls, and then just skip that loop. And there, that's you know, that's a pretty good beginner route. I was stopping to explain things, so I got a bad time. But you could potentially get like under 2 minutes with that. But if you want to go for the best time, I'd say you don't want to use like the better strats, which are so now I'm going to be using like the more advanced route. I was doing some advanced things on the last thing too, just because a lot of the things in the advanced route aren't that hard. That was a bit of a mistake, but whatever. As you can see, the advanced route does the same thing here. Unless you want to do the crazy save 0.2 of a second really hard method, but forget that. Oh, yeah, that can happen. If that happens, you can jump up here and do a super bounce. Or you can throw the key in the thing. Bouncing on the end of that rail as it goes down gives you a bit more speed. It's quite risky, so do it at your own discretion. This is too far left. again, it's not too big of a deal if you hit that dash pad. It hardly slows you down. So, optimally, you'd want to come through here, and then without hitting this dash pad or this wall, you'd start charging a spin dash to do the super bounce off of this wall. Spin dash across these gaps, slow yourself down a bit. I died. That's okay, I'm just explaining things. That should be good. Super bounce here, go around there. Definitely you want to go for the speed rail if you're going for advanced strats. As well as the super bounce loop skip. Right there, the game ate my inputs, and I had to abort mission and just go right over here. That loses a couple seconds, obviously. You'd want to go for the full thing there, so I'll try to show off the full thing. Dead. Alright, so apparently my OBS crashed and I didn't even notice. So you already saw the super bounce loop skip at the end, so I don't need to show it off again. Instead, what I'm gonna do is a short tutorial on how to do snake skip. So you want to bounce up here, do spin dashes across, and when you get to this platform you want to jump to lose some of your speed so that running on the snake gets easier. And here's how to actually do the skip itself. So what we're going to want to do is run up to the snake about the third segment. That's where you want to optimally be. It can be done from here if you're good enough and you angle it right and you're also far enough to the side. When we're running up the snake, as soon as we get on it, pretty much, that's when we want to start holding the B button. And we want to change our camera angle so that we're looking towards where we want to go. We want to angle ourselves roughly 70 to 80 degrees. If you angle yourself too high, like 90 degrees, that would be straight up the snake. You won't actually go off the edge of the snake. That's not good. So like 70 is good because you go off the edge of the snake and you're angled high enough to make it. So you spin dash off roughly 70 degrees. You're going to want to wait a little bit. If you wait too long, it's not going to work. You're going to lose skewed gravity, and that's going to suck. So you want to wait about a quarter of a second. You're going to want to wait about a quarter of a second after spin dashing off, and then you want to bounce. And after about a second of bouncing, maybe not even a second, you're going to want to do a homing attack cancel. And it has to be a cancel. If you just do a homing attack, you're probably not going to make it. And what that'll do is it'll give us just enough distance to land on the side of the loop in the background right there. We'll land on the side. We'll start running on the wall because our gravity will be skewed enough to allow that to happen. And you want to run up the wall and jump over the edge and then do a bounce XL. So, let me try to show that off. And there we go, that's snake skip. And I killed myself on purpose there, because I want to show snake skip at full speed, which is what you want to be going for. Okay, so I missed it. We'll try again. So there we go. That's a fairly optimal snake skip. You can do it without even jumping to slow yourself down. But that is very difficult. It's basically restricted to ILs. And now I'll just try to show off the ending one last time. There we go. That's good. So yeah, that's Pyramid Cave. That's my tutorial on it. I hope you learned something from this, and I wish you the best of luck in this most difficult of Sonic stages.